Awesome. Brett, hey, well, thank you again for having me on the call and introducing me to your amazing community. I was doing some research on a couple of you and checking out what kind of businesses you have. How are you changing the world out there? How are you really inspiring people to step up into a more conscious level, whether it's through health, yoga, just amazing, some phenomenal business owners. And whether you currently have a business or you're still doing it maybe as a hobby and you still currently work a job, whatever place you're in is just perfect. And in this presentation, what I've created here after 11 years of being a serial entrepreneur and messing up quite a bit, and spending money and losing money, and yes, they were very, very valuable lessons. So I hope that, through what I share here with you tonight, I really appreciate you being on the line, and hopefully some of the wisdom I share you could really take home, you can learn, and you can start to apply in your business to really see rapid results. And I'm just excited to be on the call, and I know people have helped me on my entrepreneur journey, and I could have never grown 6 different companies, and 2 of them would have never hit 7 figures if I didn't have phenomenal mentors, people like Brett, people that really are leaders in the community that have amazing peer group. And so I'm privileged to be on the line, and I'm excited to share with you a little bit about my story and my background, and however you take it in, just start to think how you can start using this information in whatever business that you're in. So I'll just get started here and tell you a little bit about myself so you know who I am and what I'm talking about. Is the last 11 years, I never thought that I would have started up different companies, and I never thought that I would have gone through the headache and also the gifts that life really has to offer. And I was born in Canada to, both my parents were Russian immigrants, and they always taught me, now all you have to do to be successful is work really hard, get a good job, you guys know the story, and make money, graduate college and go the traditional route. And I believe them because oftentimes we don't know what to believe when, we're young. And I believed them, and I went down that path. And I got into school. I got into college. I worked really, really hard. And there was a time in my life where I was working 3 jobs. I had a full-time girlfriend in college, so that was like a 4th job. And I was miserable. And I was diagnosed at an early age with a genetic disease called cystic fibrosis. And so my body took a major toll, and that was like my first breakthrough moment, understanding and realizing that my time was limited here. And I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia, with IVs in both arms, tube down my nose, and I was like, at 19 years old, I thought this was it. This was just going to be the end. And the doctor comes in and he knocks on the door and says, he picks up the chart, he looks at me, and the word that came out of his mouth completely changed my life. He said, Mel, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And those few words, completely 180. When I got out of the hospital, and I realized that if I kept doing what I was doing, I was going to keep getting what I was getting, I rapidly shifted. And I started to pick up books. I started to understand human behavior. I started to learn about business. And one of my jobs was valet. And I would work valet. This was in Long Beach, California. And I worked valet, and this gentleman would always come in, and it was a pretty fancy restaurant, and he would come in, and he had what I called the trifecta. He looked like he had amazing health. He looked like he had an amazing relationship with his wife, and he would pull up in a car that was as much as a house. And so financially, he was doing really well. And there was months out of the year where he would be gone, just on vacation. And all I knew early on in my life is what I didn't want anymore. I didn't want to have to work something that I didn't want. And I wanted certain things in life, but I didn't know how to achieve them. And so one day, this gentleman comes out. We valeted his car. We always parked it up front. And I asked him 2 questions that changed my life. I said, "Sir, can you help me? What is it that you do, and can you help me, please?" And right at that point, I had negative energy and negative connotation towards successful people. My parents always said, "Mel, rich people don't want to help you. They're greedy. They're stingy. Why would they want to help you? Money is the root of all evil." Whatever it was, my parents gave me these beliefs, and I happily accepted them because I didn't know what else to think. Well, since then, I've realized that actually successful people are some of the nicest people. But right when I asked him those questions, I was in a very uncertain and fearful place, but I did it anyways. I pushed through it. And he said yes, and so he became my mentor. He said that next morning we met, and we had coffee, and he shared with me certain success principles that completely, again, changed my life. And he shared with me things, and if you're taking notes, I would highly recommend it. And we only have a little bit of time together, so anything that resonates with you, which not everything will, but whatever really, truly resonates with you and strikes home, write it down so you can keep that. What he shared with me is, Mel, for you to be successful, what you need to start to figure out is how to leverage your number one resource. And your number one resource, I asked him, well, what's your number one resource? 19 years old, I didn't have a clue. He said, it's your time. Successful people, truly successful people, and success, I'm going to use that word a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean financially successful. Financially is part of it, but also time, also family, also relationships, also health. We're holistic beings, so success is not one thing, and success is different to all of us. So he said, Mel, you have to learn how to leverage your time. You have to learn how to make something one time and sell it forever. Well, that was a novel idea for me. I've never heard of that. No one ever told me that. No one ever said, hey, Mel, make something one time and sell it forever. Because the strategy that I was taught was exchange your dollars for hours. And if you exchange your dollars for hours, no matter how much you make per hour, even if you're a doctor, a lawyer, you make a good amount of money per hour, the moment you stop working, you're done. You can't retire. Money stops coming in. And I saw that pattern with the closest people in my life, my mom, my dad, working really, really hard, but exchanging dollars for hours. And so right away, I started to think about ideas. And at 19 years old, this was in 2001, I'm 31 now, dial-up internet was coming out. And dial-up internet was really the hottest thing, AOL. You guys remember AOL with those discs that they, uses confetti everywhere?
Right.
Well, this gentleman, his name was Dennis, he said, Mel, right now, imagine the opportunity you have if you created an internet service provider company. And I wasn't a techie guy. I was more in the marketing sales. But he said, Mel, you can go and sell internet and get paid $9.99 every single month. Well, I said, hey, that's a good idea. So I dropped out of college. At 19, my parents were furious. They were so furious. And they basically kicked me out of the house, and I had a few $1,000 to my name. I started up a company with a couple other friends, and we started slowly, and over time, over the next 3 years, we got thousands of clients paying us $9.99. And how did we do that? Every way we could. Whatever it was. If we had to go door to door, we did that. If we had to cold call, we did that. If we sent out mailers, we did whatever. We got referrals. Every single way that we could figure out, we did. And that company thrived. So at 19, 20, 21 years old, I was making a lot of money, but we also had a lot of overhead. Now, something that happened was really interesting. And what happened was that pesky little Roadrunner came out. and High Speed came out. And when High Speed came out, we didn't adapt, we didn't change fast enough. You see, in this day and age, with things changing so fast, it doesn't matter what you know anymore. Actually, what we know is irrelevant. It's how fast you can learn, and it's how fast you can change, and it's how fast you can apply and adapt. That's it. That's all that matters. The age and the day where people work 30 years and they wait for their pension are over. Those days are long gone. You know, if you ask, I have a younger brother. He's 18 years old, and even kids younger than him, they all want to be entrepreneurs. They all want to create some sort of app. They all want to do what their purpose and passion is, and then make money. So Jack Canfield, some of you may know Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. He was interviewing W. Clement Stone, and W. Clement Stone at that time was one of the thought leaders, and he asked W. Clement Stone, you know, what is success? And W. Clement Stone looks at Jack Canfield and says, success is you figuring out at the youngest age possible what it is you love to do, and somehow, some way making money doing it. Mm-hmm. And so my whole life was flipped around with these type of, you know, with these type of philosophies, because my parents are very, very middle class, and I love them. They're amazing. My parents are absolutely amazing. Now they definitely have my back. They're my biggest fans. They're my biggest supporters. And oftentimes the people around us, they mean well. They mean well. Everything they say, it's coming from a place of love, but they don't know well. And there might be some fear and insecurity, and they want you to succeed, but they only know the one way on how to do that. So what happened is when that Roadrunner came out and we didn't transition, we didn't move, that company went under. And there was months where I was putting payroll on my credit card, not knowing how to pay it off. And we had 30 employees, most of them my friends, all gone. There's one guy that stuck with me. I was over $50,000 in debt, and my car got repossessed, house got taken away, moved into an apartment. And I moved into an apartment where the first 30 days are free. Well, after those 30 days, everything was shut off. I didn't have money to pay. Water shut off, everything shut off. Well, the cold water was still there. Gas was gone, and my friend and I would sneak into the YMCA to get hot showers across the street. And I promised myself at that moment, because it really did suck. It was horrible. At that moment, I did, and looking back on it, of course, it was probably a defining moment in my life. It really changed my thoughts, because at that moment I promised myself if I would ever get out of that, I would help other entrepreneurs. I would help them so they wouldn't have to go through these mistakes. And what I'm going to share with you tonight are 7 of the biggest mistakes. Now, there's a lot more. There's a lot more. I'm sure Bet can share with you a lot. And you guys can share with us a lot also. But I'm going to share with you the 7 biggest that have made the biggest difference for me. The change happens with awareness. The first step to change is just being aware of what's going on internally and externally. The internal emotional intelligence that you must have, and the external skill set for you to move forward, for you to be congruent with selling, for you to be open to marketing, for you to step into a business owner role. Now, when I say that, that's the biggest shift. When I do an event, I do a 2-day event, and it's called the Entrepreneur Revolution. I'll talk about that later. But at that event, the biggest shift the participants get is that they realize they are not what they do. They are not what they do. So if you're on the line and you're listening to this, I want you to see if you can accept this concept, because what will happen is it will open you up really to infinite possibilities, realizing what you actually are. So if you're on the call and let's say you're a yoga instructor, you own a yoga studio, you are actually not a yoga teacher. If you own, an ice cream shop, you are not an ice cream shop owner. If you're a doctor, you're not the doctor. You're not a lawyer. What you actually are. And when this shift happened to me, it made a significant difference, because I started to work on my business and not in my business. And what that was was understanding that you are not what you do, you are a business owner that provides that service. And up until now, if you've been successful at providing that service, then great, kudos to you. But oftentimes people get involved in business. It is something they love to do. They are purposeful. They love it. And that's some of you on the line, is right now you love what you do. You could do it for the rest of your life. Great. My question to you then is, how can you reach more people? And how you do that is you start thinking as an entrepreneur. You start thinking as a business owner who provides a service. And how can you share that service more? Because your bank account right now is a direct reflection of how many people you serve, how well you are, how good you are at getting out your product or service to the marketplace. Now look, maybe your goal is not to make $1 million. That's okay. But remember, money is just a measurement of how well you serve people. And the more you serve, the more you'll be rewarded. And guess what? I'm sure all of you on the call, or hopefully all of you, are good people. So if you managed, and it's actually easier than you think, to make $1 million, it's not about the money. I didn't set out to become a millionaire for the money. I did it to see what it would take of me to grow in my character, to grow in my beliefs, to grow in my emotions, the type of network that I would have to expand to. If all of you had $1 million right now in your bank, I'm sure you would do something good with it. Well, that's because money just amplifies who you already are. And so I want to jump into these biggest mistakes because I know all of you are waiting for them. But there's a concept that I really want you to grasp and understand. And before we get into this one concept, which I've interviewed many, many multimillionaires, and I've interviewed several billionaires, and I found that this one concept, this one characteristic trait actually went through all of them. So let's jump in, and let me just this next slide is who I am, and I already spoke about myself, so I really want to give you the meat and the value. Serial entrepreneur, 6 companies. Actually, 4 of the 6 have been in different target markets. They've been in different niches. 2 of them have hit 7 figures in revenue. And my purpose, I realized, I semi-retired when I was 25. I'm 31 now. And when I turned 25, I didn't have to work anymore. And what happened was I asked myself a few good questions. I said, well, if I had all the resources and all the money in the world, what would I be doing? If I had infinite amount of time, what would I be doing? And if anything was possible, what would I do? And when I asked myself those questions, and I did it, and I recommend everybody on this call at least semi-retire once in your life, or just ask yourself those really good questions, because then you'll be more aligned and live a much more purposeful and fulfilled life. I realized my purpose was to mentor others. And when I came back from that island, I created an event. And from that event came the Entrepreneur Success System. And what I realized is that this success is a system. It can be duplicated. Your parents don't have to be wealthy for you to become wealthy. As a matter of fact, oftentimes if your parents don't raise you properly, then you'll squander the wealth. Now, just because you may have not grown up understanding some success principles, some wealth principles, doesn't mean you can't learn them. Because I thoroughly believe, because I've seen it in my students, that anyone willing to learn and willing to change can then switch their blueprint that you currently hold and step into a more successful and resourceful being, because it's you already, and all you need is a little bit of guidance. That Entrepreneur Success System is the guidance, but I'll share that with you later. So there's an awesome event, and I'll invite some of you to come and spend 2 days with me. And the event is phenomenal. It's a breakthrough experience, and people walk in with all of their excuses and circumstances, and they walk out with actual skills, tangible results, a new mindset, and the certainty to go out there and just do awesome things, just to continue to be even more awesome. And it's just a workshop I put together that really helps a lot of people, so I'll talk about that a little bit more. This is the concept that I wanted to share. when I was on the island, it was a small little island called Roatan. By the way, anyone been to Roatan? If you have,
Where is Roatan? I have not been there. I've been all
Roatan
over
is
the
just
world.
north of Honduras.
Okay, got it.
Roatan is north of Honduras in Central America, and when I first heard of it, I had no clue, and I was doing real estate at the time in Vegas, and in Vegas in '04 and '05 and even '06, Vegas real estate was booming, and after I got out of the internet company, I met somebody who was doing real estate in Vegas, and I moved to Vegas. And I did real estate with him. He taught me how to buy homes, flip them, and in 3 years, I was financially. I didn't have to. I don't like to use the word retired, but it was more like financially free.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's great.
And I met a gentleman on the island, and normally this is a small island, so you don't see large yachts pull up to the island. But this one day we did, and my friend and I, we were running around the island. We thought we owned the island, and we see this big boat. Well, actually, you're not allowed to call it a boat. They get really upset. The big yacht pulls up, 115 foot, $15 million yacht. Just to clean the damn thing every year costs $300,000. And this guy, he pulls up, and so you can't dock such a big yacht. You have to take a boat out to the yacht. And so we jumped on a little boat, and we wanted to see who this person was. And we knocked on the yacht, and his wife came out. She welcomed us in, and it turns out he was somebody who was looking to buy an island in that area. It's the Bay Island, so there's 60 different little islands in that area. And so we got to chatting with him, and his name was Hakeem, and he started to tell us his story. He said, in high school I had and he was from Iran. And he said, in high school I dropped out of high school. I had to get a job to help feed the family, and I got a job working in an eyeglass factory, a factory that makes the eyeglass, the lenses. Mm-hmm. And he would tell us the story, and from that he bought a machine that made the lenses, and from one machine he turned it into 2 machines, and he's opened up a retail store, and now he has 180 retail stores in Toronto called Hakeem Optical. And his language doesn't only describe our reality, it actually creates it. So the words we say, and I know I'm talking to some enlightened entrepreneurs, you know this already. So the next level of understanding that your words actually create your reality is to start using the proper words. Start communicating in ways that are going towards what you want and not going away from what you don't want, so you can manifest your reality. Now this gentleman, his language pattern, because remember, success is a pattern. Whatever you want. If you want to be more comfortable in sales, that's a pattern. If you want to be better at marketing, well, there's also successful patterns to follow. If you want to have a stronger mindset, that's a pattern. If you want to train people and lead others and really expand your message, there is a pattern and system to do that. And so Hakeem starts talking, and the pattern that I picked up from his language was that he was very at cause for everything in his life, everything. So the good things that happened and the bad things that happened, which there were plenty of both, he was very at cause. And what that means is that you're responsible for everything that you have in your life today. The good, applaud yourself, and also the not so good. Figure out how to amplify those results. Everything is a result, and everything is our responsibility, not our fault. And so that's how everything, before we move on and jump into the biggest mistakes, being very clear and being open and honest and willing to accept that we have, up to this point, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, we've created everything in our world. So once I see that everyone has agreed with that, we can move on. Because if you don't, then what you're doing is you're leaving things up to chance. And if you leave things up to chance, then the opportunity and the percentage of you actually getting what you want is slim to none. But if you start designing your business and your life on purpose, then the chances of you actually getting it increase tenfold. So as long as we can all agree that everything that we have to this day, I know, even the bad stuff, it's our responsibility, then we can move on and I can share with you the biggest mistakes. Cool?
Excellent.
Okay.
I love it.
All right. So do we have any questions so far, or can I?
I can't see any questions, so if anybody who has questions, just pop them in the question box, and otherwise keep going, and you'll have to check your GoToWebinar control panel and look at the questions and see if they're there. But you're doing great, so keep rolling.
Okay, so I see Beth saying if she won the lottery, I would still be doing what I'm doing. Amazing. Awesome, awesome.
Beth, that's right.
And
I love it.
And Beth said, if you don't, sorry, Beth, I'm putting you on the spotlight here. I don't like the business part. It chips at my passion. Okay, so that is, and thank you for being open and honest, because sometimes, actually more than sometimes, it's a very common pattern business owners and entrepreneurs do. And it's up to you just to realize where you're at. Because, see, right now, if you're doing your purpose, you're doing your passion, and if you start looking at it like a business, then it might take some of the purpose and passion away, right? That sometimes happens.
Absolutely.
This is the thing, though, is that is what you're doing your actual purpose or passion, or is your purpose or passion the result that what you're doing gets you? Does that make sense? So let's say you're a yoga instructor. Well, is it actually yoga that's your purpose or passion, or is it the result that yoga brings to you, that yoga brings to your people that come into your studio? Is it that? And it's then to understand, okay, well, actually the passion is the smiles I see when people finish a workout, the just how much peaceful and happier they truly are when they're done. That is what I want to achieve. Yoga is just the method of getting that, is one of many methods. It's a great method. I love yoga. And so now, the only question now you got to ask yourself is, do you want to reach more people? If you want to reach more people, well, then accepting what business is. Because, see, I believe that business is just a relationship. That's it. In my head, business is a relationship. And if you're good at building relationships, you're probably really good at business. And so business is just being able to share your value and then congruently accept your reward for sharing that value. It's being able to give, but it's also being able to receive. So sometimes if we want the result, if we want more money, which maybe just brings us more choices, or we want more time freedom, well, the thing is we have to start to think about how we're structuring our business. And so that's what I'm going to go into now. So let's rock it. Here are the seven biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make. First one. The first biggest mistake is entrepreneurs are not aware of their limiting beliefs. Right?
That's true.
They're not aware of what's limiting them. Now, all of us have infinite potential, but we have blocks to go down that road. And one of those blocks is having limiting beliefs. Whatever these limiting beliefs might be. When I was 19 years old, one of my biggest ones was, who am I? I'm a college dropout. I don't have any business experience. How the heck can a 19-year-old start up a business? That was a limiting belief of mine. Who's going to buy from me? You know, who's going to listen to me? When I first started speaking and doing more coaching and doing workshops, that was one of my limiting beliefs is, well, you know, I'm not a professional speaker. Who's going to listen to me? That's a limiting belief. So a limiting belief is just something that is holding you back from getting your result. And the first step is to be aware of them. Because once you're aware of them, you can use a specific tool, which I wish I could actually take everybody through. In the live event, we go through it. And also in the success system, we go through it. You can pop it into your CD player and actually go through a process that will help you eliminate your limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs about money. What do you believe about money? If you believe, if you grew up and you're a little kid and you saw your parents always arguing about money, well, you're going to go one of two ways. You're going to say, you know what, I don't want money. That stuff just causes problems, and it's not important. I'm not going to make any of it. And now you wonder why you suffer because you don't have enough money. Or you go the other way, right? Because there's always a flip side to the coin. You go the other way. You say, hey, you know what? I see all that arguing going on. I don't want that. I'm going to work so hard day and night so I never have to worry about money, and then your relationships suffer. So any result we have is a result of some belief we've been holding on to. Now, if the result is something, I'm not here to judge anybody on the call. You yourself can look and say, hey, there's a result that I have, and it's not the one I want, and I wonder what belief in my past created it, and how can I change it? So limiting beliefs about people. In one of my companies, we hired a bunch of people, and some people started cheating. Some people started stealing from us. And there was a decision that I made that I could not trust people. There was a belief that I had that no one would do the business as good as me. All limiting beliefs. Because if you ever want to leverage your business, if you ever really want to expand your reach, then you have to redecide those limiting beliefs. Otherwise, you'll just continue down that path. So the first step is an internal step, is being aware of the limiting beliefs you've been holding on to and start to redecide them. The second biggest mistake are putting negative emotions into your business. Remember, business is just relationships. That's it. When somebody says, oh, it's not personal, it's just business, that's a bunch of BS. Because business is personal, and that's it. When you marry somebody, that is a relationship. And in that relationship, you need solid agreements. You need to understand how each other feel and accept love. You need to, each day, you're selling each other. And so a relationship is business. It is. And think about it, every person that you've done business with, they do business with you, if they've been doing business with you for years, maybe even decades, that means you built a good relationship with them. You treat them well, they treat you well. And that is a relationship. So when negative emotions, and there's 5 of them, I'll tell you all 5 right now, when any one of them come into your relationship or come into your business, it will self-sabotage your results. The first negative emotion is anger. Second is sadness. Third, which really holds entrepreneurs back, is fear. Then guilt and hurt. So anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt.
And can I ask a clarification question here? You're saying that you're not saying that these don't come up. Are you saying that when they do come up, that you've got ideas and ways to deal with them and help you to turn them into a positive inspiration?
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Thanks for that clarification. So these emotions, all of us have them. And there's warranted, and then there's unwarranted emotions. So when the unwarranted emotion comes up, I'll give you an example. There was a company I was involved with a little while back. It was, probably 5 years ago, before Kayak. If any of you have used Kayak on the internet, it's like a travel search engine. It'll find you the cheapest flights or hotels, whatever you want. Yeah. Well, we had a software. It wasn't online, but it was actually on a disk that you would put into your computer. And it was Kayak, but on a disk. We got $100 million in funding for that project. I was not the CEO. They brought me on as a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. And our CEO had an anger problem. And every single time he would talk to anybody, he would just go crazy. He would just blow up. And one time I heard him listening to our investor, the guy who gave us the money to run the company. And our CEO just freaked out on him. Just, you could tell, just got angry and angry and angry. And they had this big, conversation, and it turned out there was a falling out. And he told us, the CEO said, hey, everything's going to be fine. Next month, the financing was pulled and that company went under. So the emotions come up, and there are certain circumstances that they're good, right? I mean, it's good to have fear when, somebody's stealing your car. It's good to have fear because that moves you to some sort of action. Right? Sometimes it might be a good time to have anger or sadness. Someone passes away, hey, it's totally fine to feel sad, but not for 10 years. Maybe not even for 5 years. It's fine to feel grief and go through that process. But if it's holding you back from living your life, then you probably need some tools and some help to get over it, to take the positive learnings, but to leave the negative emotions aside. And so I have seen this over and over and over again. And what's interesting is I've never seen, and I take a lot of workshops, I do a lot of seminars, and there hasn't really been a program that acknowledges limiting beliefs and negative emotions that I've seen, and the internal stuff and the external work. And so that's why I went out there and I studied for the last 5 years about human behavior, all about the psychology of humans, why they do the things they do. And a big part of it was negative emotions. And so when you start to release them and you start to retain the learnings, then what happens is in your business and in your relationships, you'll stop self-sabotaging. Does that answer your question, Brett?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. So negative emotions, that's another big mistake, letting them into your business. So now, just by me talking right now, it helps you become more aware of what's going on inside. And then what will happen is you'll go from more of instead of a reactive mode, you'll step into more of a proactive mode, and you'll be able to choose to act different. But for it to work on a permanent level, for you to really shift your neurology, to shift your brain chemistry, what will have to happen is for you to find a process to go through and to release the negative emotions. So that's number 2. Next is creating a foreseeable future. This is a mistake that many entrepreneurs make because they don't have a foreseeable future. And not only a foreseeable future, but a compelling foreseeable future. Right? A compelling foreseeable future. Beth wrote, I think it was probably when I was talking about my CEO, the angry one, she wrote, he needed yoga. Thank you, Beth.
I love it.
Yeah. So number 3 is creating a foreseeable future and a compelling one. The days when you get out of bed and then you just don't feel like getting out of bed, we all have them. We have them. That's fine. It's just not having them so often, right? If you have them every other day, well, that might be a problem. That might be a challenge. So why a part of that, not the whole reason, but a part of that is not having a compelling future. If you don't know what you want and you're not aligned with your purpose and passion, then why would you wake up? Because you have to? Well, yeah. But that's not going to put a smile on your face every day when you wake up. Every day when I wake up, I am excited to work on a project that I have going. I mean, I absolutely love my life. I have the time freedom I want and the resources really to do whatever I want. And luckily, I met my soulmate, the love of my life. Actually, we met in Honduras, and we're getting married now. And she's absolutely amazing, and I'm just really privileged. And I believe that a big part of why things have aligned is because of the conscious level of awareness, understanding what I'm thinking, what thoughts are going through my head, what am I telling myself, what is in my mind that is already myself in the future. I hope that made sense. So who you are in the future, who you're going to be in the future, is already programmed in your head. Now, it's not set in stone, but it is already programmed in your head. So we will only do what is aligned with our values. And if our values are not properly aligned, and our values are what's important to us, if they're not aligned, then we're not going to move to something that is against our values, even if it is the result we want to get. Right? So creating a foreseeable future and a compelling one of who you actually want to be. I mean, vision boards help in this department. Meditation helps in this department. Yoga definitely helps in this department, clearing your mind and really understanding, well, okay, let's live our life on purpose. And so there's processes that I take entrepreneurs through, because a lot of this self-development is for people that are not in business, unfortunately. And for me, I really am on a mission to help entrepreneurs, because I believe they already have the part down of, hey, I'm adding value to the world. I'm doing something, and hopefully it's something good, and I'm adding value. And now they just need to know how to do more of that. So creating a foreseeable future. So before you go to bed tonight, an exercise you can do is take yourself out to the future. Imagine as if you could. And who are you? Who are you hanging out with? Are you hanging out with the same people? Are you doing the same thing? Do you still have the same negative emotions? Do you still have the same limiting beliefs? Or are you different? I don't know, right? For everyone, it's going to be a little bit different. But who you want to become is in your head. Now, it's your opportunity to customize that. So creating a foreseeable future will keep you more motivated. It will keep you more inspired. You will resonate in a greater way when you meet people, and they'll be like, you know what? Wow, there's just something amazing about this person. I want to be in their presence. And whatever they're doing, I want to do. So that is the power of creating a foreseeable future. And the mistake is letting your past programming dictate your foreseeable future. Okay? 4. So those are the 3 internal ones. And there's 3 internal ones, and then there's 4 really external ones. Now, the 4th one, oftentimes, holistic practitioners, socially conscious entrepreneurs, people who are aligned with their purpose and passion, they have limiting beliefs about selling. They don't like to sell. It's a dirty word, and it just rubs people the wrong way. Well, I'm going to do my very best to encourage you to look at it in a different way. Why? Because selling is the absolute bloodline for your business. And you already do it every single day. The only question is if you're good or you're not. And the only way to determine that is if you're getting the result. Now, if you have something great, right, you have something that's life-saving, you have something that's going to help people physically, you're going to have something that's going to help people mentally, you have a product, a service that's actually going to help somebody. And if you have not taken the time to learn how to be as persuasive as possible, to actually show them the value, then you are doing an injustice. You actually, by not learning how to sell, are not helping as many people as you can.
Yeah, this is something that's really interesting, and I know several of us in my tribe talk about enrollment, and as it comes to, and the reason why I chose to help conscious entrepreneurs is I know that everybody in my tribe, if they have the ability to enroll someone new or sell someone new on their services, they're going to make their lives better, and that's how we're going to make the world a better place. And I know people, they get scared when they hear about selling, or they think manipulation, but the reality is if you're doing something good you owe it to people out there to go out there and do good and get them enrolled in your program.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it starts with reframing it in your mind, just like Beth commented right now. She says, I love to share, not to sell. So that is the first step. It's understanding that because see, we have attached selling as pushing something onto somebody that they don't need for our own selfish purpose. It's not that. It's actually the complete opposite. It's having enough love and caring and understanding of that person to figure out what their problem is, to figure out what their pain is, and then to share with them what your solution is. So the way that I like to say is that selling is serving. And you have to figure out how to do it congruently, ethically, persuasively, in the most loving way where they want what you have and they clearly see, this is the key right here, in benefit-driven language, the result they're going to get from your product or service. Not the features, but the benefit. Sometimes features are great to throw in, but really the main thing to work in our language are the benefits. So when you can share a benefit-driven message about your product and service, what they're actually going to get from it, and what they're going to get from it is what they want, and having that enrollment conversation, like you said, Brett, then there is no selling. There's just sharing in the most persuasive way and getting them to say, yes, I want that. So I teach a 5-step sharing program, and the 5 steps will very quickly and easily and effortlessly have you in front of a person figure out if that is your client or not in the first place. If it is, great, you continue the conversation. If not, then then that's just not your client, and you can talk with them about other things. But if it is your client, the 5 steps will help you go from introduction to building rapport, building a connection of trust, finding their need, linking their need, which is why do they want what you have, what's the pain. Then you linking it into your product and service, you sharing congruently how you can serve them, how you can help them, how you can alleviate their pain, and then you having the last part of the conversation. I don't like to call it closing because you're really not closing. It's really you're opening. You're opening them to say yes and moving them to a decision. Just because you did all the steps and they loved it, they see it, and you didn't do the very last step, and you did everything but the last step, that doesn't mean they're going to buy, because the last step is getting them to make a decision. The reason why most people don't have what they want is that they don't make decisions. They don't make enough of them. And if they don't need to make good ones, you just need to make enough of them. And when there's a lack of a decision made, that's a big problem, because the lack of a decision means that you're going to get a result that's the same. Nothing's going to change if there's a lack of a decision. And so we encourage entrepreneurs to make more decisions. And it doesn't need to be the right ones, because you'll figure out very quickly if it is. The problem comes in is when there's procrastination, there's lack of confidence, and you don't know how to persuasively sell or share what you have. There's systems to do all of it. Now, this is the thing, is that if you haven't studied selling, if you haven't studied it and understood it, then of course it's going to be something for you to look at and for you to decide this is something you want to learn and move to action to pick up those skills, because it's just a skill set. I don't believe that there's any born entrepreneurs. The way that I figured out that I was going to be an entrepreneur is that I got fired from every single job. I got fired from every single job, and I realized, well, I'm unemployable, and I have to do something. So I had to do something for myself. And
I am very proudly unemployable.
Yeah.
As a serial entrepreneur, yes.
Yep. And so the last step in this selling conversation is the one, Beth is saying here, and thank you for participating, Beth. She's saying all the steps are easy. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but they are simple, except the last one. Well, why is the last one the most difficult? It's because there's negative emotion attached to it. That's why. Taking somebody into a decision state and putting somebody into, hey, make a decision, yes or no, right? It's not maybe. The worst thing somebody could ever tell you is maybe. It's like a greasy watermelon, right? You can't hold on to a greasy watermelon. It just slips. So maybe, you never want to get a maybe from a client. They have their results, and if those results are not the ones that they want, then it's because they have not made the decision yet. So for you to share in the most loving, kind, and caring way, not nice, notice I didn't say nice, loving, kind, caring, and firm, that this is something they need, and for them to move to a decision, you first have to release your limiting beliefs and your negative emotions so you can help more people. And when you're able to do that, because what happens is whenever you talk to somebody, and we've all had this, they give you their excuse. Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. Oh, I have kids, whatever. What happens is when you say, yeah, okay, what just happened is you bought their limiting belief. That's what just happened. They just sold you on why they don't want to become better. And you let them go. You say, okay, you didn't care about them enough to pursue those objections and to overcome them. So if you truly step outside of yourself and you know what you have is phenomenal and amazing, then it's time for you to learn how to sell, it's time for you to overcome the objections, and it's time for you to learn to ask for the sale. That's persuasive selling in the most open, loving, heart-centered way that I figured out how to do. And it's worked for me, and it's worked for my students. And so that's what we teach in the success system. So the biggest mistake, number 4, is not being persuasive in selling. Okay? And so by now, you've understood that selling is serving, and you're either really good at serving or you're not, and you can always become better. 5, okay. Biggest mistake, number 5, is lack of management skills. Now, this does not apply to all entrepreneurs, but only the ones that want to really create something significant. Because by ourselves, if you're a solopreneur, by yourselves you'll only do so much. Right? You can only achieve so much by yourself. And by the way, I know we're hitting 6 o'clock, so I'm just going to, if you have to go, if you have prior arrangements, go. I just want to be respectful of your time. But I really want to share with you all of the mistakes. So I'm gonna continue. But if you have to get off the line, Brett and I will understand. But we hope you'll stay on so you get all 7 mistakes. Management. So by yourself, you can only achieve so much. Right? Solopreneur. Many of you have been solopreneurs for years. Great. Well, the thing is if you truly want to reach more people, if you want to duplicate what you're doing, well then learning management skills and learning how to manage a team, learning how to attract an all-star team without spending a fortune is something that needs to be learned. There's organizations out there right now that save many people, save children, they feed them, they do a lot of amazing things, and they pay their people $0. Those organizations are called nonprofit organizations. They have top-tier talent, but they don't pay them anything. Well, guess what? How do they do that? You see, it's important for us to say, let's say you want to fly. Well, if you look at a bird and you try to do everything the bird does as a human, right? You try to flap your wings, you try to run, you try to, whatever. You try to do exactly as the bird does. Will you fly? No, you won't. So just mimicking the outside gestures isn't going to help you because we're not birds. We can't fly like that. But if you look at the structure of how somebody is successful, If you look at the structure of how a bird flies, well, then we can get much closer to getting the result. The structure of how a bird flies is, first of all, their bones are hollow. Then they have feathers. Then they flap their wings at a certain amount of, really, really fast, and then they start to fly. That's looking more at the structure. Instead of the content, it's the context. So management. I have been, I've written ads, I've thrown them up on Craigslist, and I've hired people that I resonate with, that are like me, and it's been horrible. See, we will be attracted to people that are most like us and that we like. And it's important to know that those people may not be the best person in that position. Just because you like them and they're like you, that actually probably means you should not hire them, because that means they're another entrepreneur, and you never want to hire another entrepreneur. They're not going to do what you say. They're going to continuously come with you with ideas and never get their job done. I've hired entrepreneurs, and as a business partner, it might be good to have an entrepreneur business partner, but if you have an employee, well, then you want to make sure that they have also an employee mindset. And they can then slowly start to grow. But does that make sense? So management is a skill set. It's a leadership skill set. My dad, he's a solopreneur, and there was a time in his business that he was doing really, really well. Business was starting to grow. He hired 2, 3, 4, 5 people, just random people he'd hired. He wasn't a manager. He didn't know how to hire people. He didn't have the checks in place and the tests in place. He didn't know personality types. He didn't know if somebody belonged in the warehouse or on the sales floor. He was oblivious to that. He just put people to work. He didn't understand how people were motivated. He didn't know any of that. And that's okay, but it's not if you're getting a bad result. And that's what happened with him. People started cheating. People started stealing things from him. And he made a very similar decision that I made. And he said, employees are not for me. I'm doing this by myself. And to this day, he still is a solopreneur. He does it one-on-one. And, hey, if you're happy with that, perfect, right? All I'm sharing with you is just a powerful message to pick up on patterns, to understand what you're doing, and to become more outcome-based. If you get one thing from this phone call, it's to be more outcome-based in your life. Understand why you're doing what you're doing and what the outcome is going to be. What is it going to be a year from now? What's it going to be 5 years from now? What's it going to be 10 years from now? Entrepreneurs oftentimes are so stuck in their business that they don't have a chance to work on their business, therefore it never grows. They get bogged down with the small things you should never be doing, like accounting, like admin, like answering the phone. That stuff should all be outsourced. Well, outsourced to maybe somebody else on your team. And as an entrepreneur, your skill set is hopefully based in more selling and marketing and closing bigger deals. That brings us to biggest mistake number 6 is not having effective marketing. Marketing should not cost you a ton of money, and it's actually rather simple. I'm going to give you the 3 P's to marketing, and these 3 P's will help you get your product and service out there to more eyeballs. Marketing. Once you learn marketing, you will never, ever have to worry about getting clients ever again. Marketing is the art of getting your product and service out there. Now look, if you've never studied marketing, if you've never even picked up one book about marketing, of course it's going to be unfamiliar. All you have to do is get a book about marketing. That's it, and start reading it, and get as passionate about sales, marketing, and management as you are in your business. Now this is the thing. That is one path, is you yourself to learn these skills. And I would recommend that, because even if you bring on somebody to do this all for you, you still need to know that they're doing a good job. So one path is to learn it and to master it so you can become really good and grow and leverage your number one resource, which is your time, and live and continue to live the life you want at an even higher level. The second option is to learn it, but not necessarily master the 7 biggest mistakes, But hire somebody. If you have the resources to do that, hire somebody to do your marketing. Hire somebody to do your sales. If you know that's definitely not your cup of tea, it's still important for you to know about it, for you to understand it, and for you to bring in somebody to do it. Because if you don't, sales and marketing are what successful companies do. If right now your company is struggling, it's because you haven't done enough selling and you haven't done enough marketing. That's it, really. Everything you want is going to come from somebody else helping you out. Everything you want. Think about it. Everything you want comes from somebody else. And so that's why selling and marketing is so crucial, and understanding human psychology. So effective marketing, 3 Ps, here they are. By the way, if you're getting value in what I'm sharing, just message, say, hey, this is awesome stuff, so I can know that what I'm sharing is really impacting and that.
This is definitely awesome stuff.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Brett. Okay, cool. So effective marketing, 3 Ps, here they are. First P is all about positioning yourself. Positioning breaks down into multiple different points, but I'm going to give you one point. Positioning yourself more as an expert. How can you do that? Because people love buying from people who are experts. Okay, one way, which is the most obvious way, we're doing it right now. Right now, I met Brett, we really connected, Brett's an awesome guy, and he's like, Mel, why don't you come share the 7 biggest mistakes to my audience? They will absolutely love it. So I said, great. So here we are, we're doing a webinar. Some of you are on the phone, some of you can see the screen. Well, as soon as you're being interviewed by somebody, you immediately are marked out as an expert. Now, hopefully you have something great to say. But right there, that is one strategy you can look at to do yourself, is how can you do a webinar like this? Who can you do it with? Who can interview you? I remember my first interview, my brother interviewed me, and I recorded it. But, it didn't matter it was my brother, but somebody was interviewing me, and right away, if someone's spending the time to interview him, he's got to be important.
Right.
What about videos? How do you position yourself? What about articles? Some of you are already doing these things. How can you do it at a higher level? So positioning yourself as an expert, crucial. On Facebook, right? Brett is expert at Facebook. He knows how to run it. Well, there's ways on Facebook to mark yourself out as an expert, right? You'll have to ask him on how to do that because he's the expert. But there's ways to do that. Mm-hmm. So positioning. Then there's promoting. Okay, promoting is getting out there and promoting yourself more. We can all do it. You know that? Well, who is that famous boxing promoter with a big white hair? Don King.
Don King.
Yep. Don King, right? The biggest and greatest promoter, right? How can you promote yourself better? Online and offline. Direct mail, email. How can you promote yourself more? How can you get more consistent? There are tools for that. One of the tools, for example, is a tool we use called Infusionsoft, right? Or Office Autopilot, or Aweber. All of those, what I just mentioned, they're called CRMs, Customer Retention Management Systems, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you basically put people into them, name, email, phone number, and they can get automated emails. Now, what I'm sharing with you is not a revolutionary concept because you probably have that already. But if you don't and you're not building your list, that is the number one thing to start doing. The amount of income that you're going to generate this year is a direct result of you getting rid of your limiting beliefs, of you getting rid of your negative emotions, of you figuring out how to market and how to sell better. That is all going to be a result of the products that you put out there into the marketplace and the offers you make. At the end of the day, 2013 will be your best year if you offer more things in the right way. That's it. That's it. So positioning yourself, promoting yourself, and the last P is profits. right now, though, you're doing something right now that you're not monetizing. Okay, for example, yoga just keeps on popping into my head. I just actually did some Kundalini yoga yesterday.
Nice.
Those yoga classes, which I absolutely love, the person who is facilitating it can easily record every single class, as long as the lights stay on. But they can record that class, video record it, and get some good audio. Your video is useless unless you have good audio, and Frank Kern actually told me that. So the video is pointless unless you have good audio. So whenever you do video, make sure you have good audio. So guess what? You can do a whole series of classes, videotape them, and then productize them. Put it in a membership site. I know Brett has one. And make a physical product, because if you're ever speaking in groups of people, in front of people, then those people love to take something home. You want physical product. That is doing what you're already doing, and I know you guys are getting some great ideas right now, so make sure you're writing them down and you follow through. Doing what you're already doing, but profiting more, just because you're getting more resourceful in your thinking. So how can you leverage your time and effort? You're already doing it. Maybe you do. You can even take the audios and maybe you don't even videotape. You just audio record it and put it into a program that's just all audio, and people can take it home and then listen to it. Don't worry, they're still going to come back to the studio, but now it's a home study. And actually, they'll share it with a friend, and then their friend will want to come see you live, right? So those are the type of ideas, and that's just, a couple examples. But how do you profit more from what you're doing? As a matter of fact, if you recorded, let's say, your yoga session, and then you sent it to get transcribed, and that person then transcribed it, you're on your way to writing a book. You guys got that? I hope you're getting some good ideas here, because people pay me a lot of money to coach, and I only take 5 clients. I only take 5 clients a year, and they each pay me $30,000. Well, why would somebody pay me $30,000? Well, because I can guarantee them within 12 months they'll make 6 figures. Right? So, would you guys invest $30,000 to make 100? Well, that's up to you to decide. But my clients and those 5, I very, very rarely ever have open spots. They always renew every year. But they see that taking action is the most crucial thing. At the end of the day,
that's a really good ROI. I mean, if you can put in $30,000 and have somebody help you take action and get 6 figures out, that's a pretty darn good ROI.
Yep. And that's why they do it over and over and over again. So the last biggest mistake is lack of massive action. Lack of massive action. You just spent over an hour with me, and I appreciate each and every one of you hanging in there, because I know you guys are getting great value, so good. And thank you, Patsy and Delamay. Thank you for your comments. The last biggest mistake is lack of massive action. You just spent over an hour with me and Brett. What are you going to do about it? That's the key. At the end of the day, yes, it was interesting. Yes, it was helpful. Yes, it was awesome. And what? And what? What's going to happen next? I am somebody, I go to workshops, I go to seminars, my education will always continue. And before I ever invest in a program or a product, I ask myself 2 major questions. I say, do I resonate with the person teaching this? Is it making sense? Is it simple enough? Can I actually do it? When all of that is yes, then I move on to the second question, and I ask myself, how do I make a return on this information? That's what I ask myself. And when I answer those 2 major questions, I buy. That's it. It doesn't even matter the price, because successful people, the way they think is that they don't care about the price. This is what I found. They don't care about the price. They only care about the investment. That's it. If It's 10 grand, which I paid that multiple times to attend workshops, but it will save you 100,000, or it will make you 200,000. Then you do it. You come up with the 10 grand somehow, some way. You get resourceful. It's never a question about the money. It's always a question about how resourceful can you get. There's always been moments in our life where, hey, you couldn't do it, no way, no how, but you really, really wanted to, and you figured it out. So taking massive action on information that you resonate with, you know is good, is a key thing. Because at the end of the day, the universe rewards one thing and one thing only. Doesn't matter how smart you are. Doesn't matter how good looking you are. None of that matters. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, whether you have hair or you're bald. None of that matters. If you're black, white, yellow, purple, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is massive action, because that gets you the result, a result. And then you can adjust course from there. So what I want to share with you is a program that I've created. Now, there's a couple of you on the line that have been just loving this message, and I really appreciate Brett for having me. I shared with you the best way that I can share this message more in depth is I do a workshop, and I do a 2-day workshop. Now, not everyone is in the Orange County, San Diego, or LA area, and we have a bunch of people that fly out for our workshop. But what I've done is I've taken our 2-day workshop, which the first day is mindset, and the second day is all about sales, marketing, and management. And I share it in such a way where you will get it. It's simple, it's thorough, it's actionable stuff. There is no fluff, there's just tons of value. I've taken those entire 2 days and I've created a program. I will never teach something that I didn't do myself. So I audio recorded it, I had it edited, and professionally created something really, really neat. And that's the Entrepreneur Success System. So Brian Kelly is one of our students. And I just love Brian Kelly because he's just a phenomenal guy. He's someone who actually worked in corporate. He worked at Boeing for a long, long time. And this guy has like VIP access to all sorts of crazy things, but he wasn't fulfilled. And so he came to our 2-day workshop. He bought the Home Success System, which is the HSS, the Entrepreneur Success System. And he says every time he listens to it, he learns something new. He really desperately wanted to transition out of corporate into his own purpose, mission, and to help people. And that happened to be through health. And so after he came to the 2-day event, he had a lot of fear around starting up his event, his course, which is called the Global Fitness Group. He says repetition is key for me in not just understanding the content, but in putting it into action. As a result of my learnings from Mel, I now have zero hesitation, which he had a lot before, in going forward and taking immediate and massive action in growing my business. He was stagnant. He was a very smart guy, but he was stuck. He came to the event, he got the program, and he was just very dedicated in putting it into action. Since listening to the HSS, I've appeared on morning television show, amazing, have been interviewed on 3 radio stations. In addition, I've embarked on writing my first book. The HSS has put my mind over the top to where I can now achieve things and progress forward much easier than ever before. The more I listen to it, the more I realize how genius Mel truly is. Well, thanks, Brian. This is what I really appreciate about Brian is not only did he come through the course and now he's listening to the HSS, he brought his 2 kids. He brought his daughter, Megan, and his son, Wyatt, who are both 18 and one's 19. And these kids now have the concepts that will transform the rest of their life. They have the proper programming now. And so Brian, by the way, Brian's results are not typical. Okay, I want to just be open and honest. I'm going to give you the opportunity to purchase the Home Success System. If you keep it as shelf help, it's not going to help you. There's no way. You might as well not buy it.
I love that, shelf help.
Yeah.
Meaning you
and
never
it's true
take it off
most
the shelf.
people do that.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're going to listen to it, and you can plug it into your car, and you can start sharing it with other people. That's what I want. That's what I wanted to make available. If it's not for you, it's not for you. That's okay. But if it is, I want you to practice taking action. And yes, I made it extremely, extremely, extremely affordable so everyone can get it. So I have a gift. I promised Brett that I would share something really neat. And the Entrepreneur Home Success System, it's 6 audio CDs. So you can get the physical copy, but really I just recommend you getting the downloaded one, and you'll have instant access. In a moment, you can just go to this website I'll give to you, and you can go and get it. And not only are you going to get all the modules, but you're also going to get an action guide. The action guide is actually really, really key because it will guide you through the program. In this program, Disc 1, CD 1, or MP3 1 is creating your unstoppable mindset for business. You're going to break through your barriers. You're going to get rid of fear. You can, and I take you through the processes. It's almost as good as being live. Disc 2, you're going to create long-lasting success in life. You're going to set goals. You're going to discover the 4 revolutionary ingredients for success. And you're going to learn keys to attract mentorship and to attract other entrepreneurs to mastermind with you to create breakthrough ideas in your business. Set 3, or CD 3, or MP3 3, you're going to focus, you're going to set your focus and achieve anything. So I take you through a process to set the right intentions for your business. I help you get rid of the #1 reason for self-sabotage, and we go deeper into negative emotions, how they're harming you and your business, and then we get rid of them. So if any of that is something you want to do, along with growing your skill set in sales, I share with you the 5-step sales program, the 5-step sales method. You can apply that immediately. Anyone can do it. It's really simple. You just got to do it. I give you more marketing ideas. I go into the 3 Ps even deeper. And then I share with you, which really is, I mean, worth the entire, if you just learn this one thing, it'd be worth this entire course, is how to attract an all-star team. And once you understand how to attract an all-star team, what motivates people, what kind of personalities are important, where and when, there's a process I take you through to clearly understand who you are, who that person is you're hiring, and how to utilize them best within your business so they can carry out your mission, and they are happy to do so.
And so this was just for everybody out there, this was the kind of thing that attracted me to Mel by, when he was talking about this kind of work, because there's a lot of people out there who, talk about your inner game, but then don't show you how to cash in on that inner game and how to actually turn it into reality. And, it just totally resonated with me just now when you said how to attract an all-star team. Because there's just no better way to leverage your genius zone than to surround yourself with an all-star team. And it's not easy at all to do. It's not intuitive, but you have a system that helps people do it. And that's, that was something that when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. I'm coming to your event. Let's do it. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah. So I appreciate. Thank you for that shout out, Brett. And that's what I've spent the last 5 years putting it together. This is my life's work. This is understanding the mindset, but also the skill set to get instant results for entrepreneurs. I've applied it in my businesses. This is what I coach others to do, and now you can get it for a ridiculously low price and get it immediately and start listening to it and start discovering the power in it.
And so you said get it immediately. I just want to clarify because I see pictures of DVDs there. Are they going to be able to download it directly immediately? So it's not, they don't have to wait for that in the mail? Okay.
That is the option I recommend. So you can download it immediately, download the PDF. As soon as you go through the process, you'll have it, and that's it. And you can get started right away. So let me just share with you because I know some of you are itching to just get it already. So you're going to overcome any limiting belief or challenge. You're going to discover marketing strategies. You're going to learn the art of persuasive selling or sharing. and you're going to learn to build an unstoppable team. It's 6 CDs, 10-plus hours of content. It's 6 CDs if you get the physical copy, which is a little bit more, but I recommend all of you just get the downloadable one so you can have it tonight. Includes the Entrepreneur Revolution Action Guide. This course sells normally it sells for $497. I mean, how many clients would you need to get to pay for $497? Some of you, one, maybe two, maybe you half of one. If you listen to this program and it gets you one client, well, it should be all worth it. But you're not going to pay that. I'm going to do something really, really special for the first 5 because I truly believe in rewarding action. For the first 5 that get it right now, I'm going to include a ticket to the 2-day event. The 2-day event is $795. You will be sitting next to somebody who paid $795. If you choose to fly out or come out to the Entrepreneur Revolution 2-day event, great. If not, that's okay. Then at least you have the home study system. But I'm going to include a ticket, a scholarship ticket. Both of those. You get the course and the ticket for $97. This is my purpose. This is my mission. I promised myself that I would help other entrepreneurs. This is how I'm doing it. Take action on it. Not for me, but for yourself. And this is the greatest thing. So just to be clear.
I'm going to this event, which I'm so excited about, and I would love it if you guys would be there with me. This is going to be awesome, and I'm really excited, Mel, that, I mean, this is a huge value, so $97 for not only for this course, but then to get into this event, which, again, I'm going to be there, so I want to see you guys there too. This is totally awesome. Thank you.
Totally. Well, thank you for appreciating it. And all you have to do right now is go to entrepreneursuccesssystem.com. I actually just sent it in the little message thing. So
Entrepreneur, so it just went to
all
everybody.
you have to do is go to entrepreneursuccesssystem.com. Entrepreneursuccesssystem.com. If you want the physical one, it's $197. But if you just want the downloads, just click on the 97. You'll go to the checkout. You'll check out the first 5. The first 5 that do it right now, entrepreneursuccesssystem.com, will also get a ticket to the live event. Here are the details for the live event. If you're in San Diego, Orange County, or LA, you're in luck. We do this event 10 times a year in Orange County, San Diego, or LA. San Diego is coming up. Brett is actually going to be one of our guest speakers. It's going to be a phenomenal event. You will absolutely love it. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I have a guarantee. And I'll share that with you in a moment. San Diego, February 22, 23. It's going to be near Old Town San Diego. Actually, it'll be in Mission Valley in San Diego, February 22, 23. Or you can come to Orange County, March 21 to the 23rd. For now, I am doing these events. I have trainers that do the events for me. But for San Diego and Orange County, I'm actually going to be there. So if you want to come to the event and experience it live, we'd love to have you. You're getting a phenomenal deal, and the only reason you're getting it is because I believe in what Brett's doing. He's an awesome guy. He's created a phenomenal community. I want to support that. So this is my guarantee. 100% satisfaction guarantee. All my courses, all my programs are guaranteed and proven to transform your life emotionally and financially for your well-being. When you purchase the Home Success System and you don't thoroughly enjoy it, 100%, if you don't like the sound of my voice, if there's something I say that rubs you the wrong way, return it. I don't need your $97. I will gladly refund your investment, no questions asked. You just let me know, and I'll let you keep the audios. I'll let you keep the program. Well, it's a download, so you'll have it, but you can keep it. I'll let you keep it. $97. That's it. It's not going to make a difference in my life, but it will in yours.
Yeah, that's a better than free guarantee. And again, as I was telling everybody, I'm going to be there at this event. I've got invited to speak, but the reason why that I decided to do this with Mel was because I saw his